Right, welcome back to episode 3 of Down Under the Crossbar. I am sports journalist Brendan Bradford, joined as always by Steve Peios. Mate, you have been everywhere since we've talked last for about a week ago. You've been all up and down the eastern seaboard of Australia, mate. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks, BB, mate. Yeah, it's been a big week of boxing in the last week. We had the big No Limit showing Wednesday in Sydney, which was great. It was good to see you there. And then we're up with Eddie Hearn and DAZN Matchroom Boxing on Saturday. So it's been a good week, mate. Good to see you doing the rounds as well. You've been up and down the seaboard yourself. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Let's get straight into it because it's been a massive week. So for everyone tuning in for the first time, we're basically covering Arsenal from an Aussie perspective, and a bit of Premier League transfer stuff too. Anyone knows Steve Peios knows his TikTok transfer news. He's number one in the game for that. But I've got to go back. I've got to go back to the last Wednesday night in Sydney. So Steve and I were both working the boxing that night. In our other parts of our lives, we do other things. So I cover a lot of combat sports, a lot of boxing. Steve is a ring announcer, did a fantastic job, and No Limits pay-per-view card. Nikita Zoom making his return. Anyway, those nights are always big, kind of stressful, but hectic at times. They're also late nights. I probably didn't finish work, writing my follow-ups and doing interviews and stuff. I probably didn't finish work till about 1:30, 2 in the morning. Anyway, I wake up the next morning and I see a message from Steve Peios on my phone saying, "Have you seen the news?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I thought it was boxing, right?" Because I've been head down in boxing for the last couple of days. I'm like, "Oh, someone's got a bad injury, or there's been a big fight announcement or something." And I was like, "Mate, what's happening?" And he goes, "Ize's signed." And I'm like, "What?" Mate,
Yeah.
honestly, like, and that for me, like, I thought that was signed, sealed, and all but delivered for Tottenham. And all of a sudden, Steve Peios has texting me on Thursday morning saying he's about to sign with Arsenal. Mate, talk us through that one because I know you're on the pulse with that kind of stuff. For me, it came out of the blue. What was it? How did it all sort of come about for you?
Yeah, BB, great analogy of the night, mate. The similar thing happened with me. I live in Canberra from Sydney, so driving home, I got home at about 4 o'clock in the morning after seeing all you boys there. And then what had happened is that it looked like everything was sealed for Tottenham, as you said. Just before I went to bed, I went to bed about 4 o'clock that morning. So similar to you, it's always a late night after the boxing. I've gone to bed and there was the first little inkling of it was one of those burner accounts. You could tell it wasn't like one of the big names. It wasn't, and I'm not up there with Fabrizio or Ornstein or Benny Jacobs. I'm going to make sure I absolve myself of the podium of the Olympic greats there. I'm just a Commonwealth Games punter, you know what I mean, running the field. But basically, the first little inklings from like the burner accounts came up at about 4 o'clock, saying, "Well, hang on a minute, there might be something happening here today. Stay tuned." I didn't think very much of it, BB, to be honest, but it moved very quickly to the point that I sort of woke up again at about 8:30, very bleary-eyed, much like yourself after a big night of the boxing. And Ornstein was reporting it, Fabrizio was reporting it, and they were all saying that, we're here now, the hijack has been completed. So it moved very quickly in the early hours of Wednesday over there in the UK, which was, excuse me, the evening hours of UK, early hours for us on Thursday. And the hijack was complete. What I would say, BBs, I think that Eze was always going to pick Arsenal. We've seen the videos this week with Ian Wright, Thierry Henry. Passion project for him, the club that he always wanted. So great signing, very, very happy. And I think it was a case of when Arsenal knew that that's what they were going to do. They said it wasn't because of the Havertz injury, but I dare say that may have played a part in it. And since then, we've seen Saka go down, Erdegaard go down. So it was always going to happen, I think, that if Arsenal came in. Disappointing for Spurs, but I think it could be a real game changer for the Gunners moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we spoke last week just about some of the attacking players' mindsets and just wanting a bit more directness, a bit more speed. Certainly, he's gonna deliver that. And the fact that from an Arsenal perspective, the fact that it hijacked the Tottenham move as well is just cherry on the top.
About to do it again, BB. We're about to do it again, mate. There's another one, the Leverkusen defender that we're looking at right now. They've been in for him the whole last week. We've come in with a late hijack, and here we are now at a point where we might be getting him as well. But we can talk about that one next week if that comes about.
Stay tuned for that one. Stay tuned to Steve's TikTok because when it's announced, he'll have the announcement.
It's coming, baby! It's a goal.
So we had that announcement Thursday morning. barely 2 days later, less than 2 days later, or about 2 days later, Man City, big title contenders, go down 2-0. That it was Tottenham, we'll just glaze over that. Arsenal goes on, smashes Leeds. I have to admit, I caught up with a few mates who I hadn't seen in a number of years, many years, on Saturday. So we'd had a few drinks, went out, watched the Warriors, had dinner, came back, had a few more drinks. I fell asleep at about half time. It was 1-0 at the last I remember before I went to sleep, and I was thinking, there's a bit left out there, not the greatest performance. I thought it sort of fell asleep at about 40 minutes in or something, whatever it was. Woke up, watched the replay. Second half, much, much, much better. And then it was, we'll get to the couple of injuries, Saka and Odegaard you mentioned. It was almost the perfect weekend. We were just a minute away from Liverpool dropping 2 points to Newcastle. We are recording this now just minutes after Liverpool scored a 100th minute winner. Beat Newcastle 3-2. We thought usually we will record straight after an Arsenal game, but we thought we're playing Liverpool this weekend. We'll wait for that game. I'm glad we did, because basically as a neutral, that game was fantastic. Steve, I know you were watching keenly this morning, Liverpool-Newcastle. Let's just touch on that game real quickly before we get into Arsenal-Leeds. What did you make of that one?
Absolutely, BB. Great game of Premier League. Another great advert for the Premier League this morning. Newcastle 2, Liverpool 3. Happy for you to run with this as the headline, mate. But Liverpool lucky this morning. They were lucky. They played pretty well, I would say, for the first 55, 60 minutes. Some great goals to get things started. Ekitike as well. Looks like he's the real deal now. So this whole Isak thing is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out before we get back on air next week. But I thought they were lucky, mate. They really suffered in the last 30 minutes against a Newcastle team, buoyed by that big home crowd up north, Monday night, summertime, great vibes in the air. But I was curious that, Gordon went off pretty early on, you'd have to say, BB. It wasn't a case that Gordon went off with 10 to go. Like, they played more than a half. They would have played 60-odd minutes with extra time against 10 men, and they really struggled the last half an hour. Liverpool, they couldn't keep their foot on the ball, missing the ability of Szoboszlai in midfield, McAllister, to actually hold the ball and just control the game. So I think that's a big plus for anybody watching. Defensively, they've conceded 4 goals, 4 pretty sloppy goals, to be honest, in the first 2 games. But what can you say? Champions do champion things, and their young star Rio looks amazing. He did wonderful things in pre-season, scored some great goals against Athletic Bilbao in a couple of pre-season friendlies, and they were able to show that they can get it done as needed. So, well done to Liverpool. I'm not saying that we'll definitely go to Anfield and win on the weekend, but I'm looking at it going, you know what? Liverpool, they've scored a lot of goals, 7 goals. We've also scored 6, though, but defensively we've been pretty clean at the back, whereas they've looked a little bit worrying. So disappointed for Newcastle, BB. They probably should have taken a point, to be fair, and fighting back from 2, or you would have thought that they could at least shut it down. But they kind of just continued to go for it in extra time. And look, if a header lands on Dan Burns' head, in injury time, they could nick it. But in the end, they sort of caught. It wasn't a counter per se, but it was some beautiful interplay between Salah and then a wonderful dummy from Szoboszlai, leaving it open for Rio. So look, good win for Liverpool, but I think it's promising signs for the rest of the league. And
as they have done, as we've seen in the past sort of year and a half, Liverpool will concede goals, but they'll just score more. Like it's just how they do it. And you mentioned. You mentioned the youngster scoring the winner for Liverpool. But like you say, I think we mentioned a week or 2 ago that, pretty confident getting 3 points out of Leeds for Arsenal. And if you can go up to Anfield, maybe steal a point, that would have been good 2 weeks ago, a week ago. I've watched that game and I'm thinking, look, to say that they're there for the picking is too strong, certainly for a champion side like Liverpool, but there's definitely 3 points to be won. There's a win at Anfield for Arsenal. I've gone from maybe we could snag a draw, maybe we could get a point. 3 points is not outside the possibility. And I think, we'll be going up there thinking it's realistic to walk away with 3 points. Again, a tough place to play. We got 3 points at Old Trafford just 2 weeks or a week ago now. Am I getting my expectations or hopes up too high?
Not at all, mate. You've summarised that really well, BB, but it's always a fascinating one. There's a couple of things I'll point to. We haven't won at Anfield in the league since 2012, I think it was. It was a Sandy Cazorla, Lucas Podolski in a 2-0. That's a long time, BB. I mean, I think we won a penalty shootout in the Carabao Cup a few years back, but very different state of affairs. That was in a 5-5, I think. We just had some wacky results up there. I think to actually go there and win the league is a big deal. Liverpool seem to let their guard down against the smaller teams. They've had a few of the mid-range teams. I know Brighton went there a few years ago and outplayed them just before we signed Trossard from them. He scored a hat-trick there, I think, or scored a double. They seem to let their guard down against the lower teams. It's the big boys that realistically don't often go there and actually get points. We've seen City have struggled there. United continue to struggle there. We haven't won there for 13 years. That coupled with the fact, though, I take confidence, BB, from the fact that we haven't actually lost against a sort of a big 6 team now. You call Liverpool, City, United, Spurs, Chelsea. Like, we haven't lost for over 20 games now. Now, that used to be a massive Achilles heel for us. We'd get beat comfortably against the big teams. Now we're in a situation where we're extremely solid. We can pick up points. We've had 3 draws in the last 3 years at Anfield. We had a 2-2 after being 2-0 up, and I hold my belief if we had won that game and hung on, we would have won the league. 1-0 the season after that, Gabriel header, which was cancelled out by Salah, and then it became a pretty drab 1-1. Last year was the 2-0 Liverpool leading and bashing us, to be honest, in the first half an hour, but we fought back to get a 2-2. It's almost like we've just got to be able to go there and win ugly, get the goals. I think if we score 2 there, we'll win, but can we do that? I don't know. To come back to your point, if you offer me a draw now with where we're both sitting, I'll take it, because we just walk away unscathed, get through the international break, and then getting to the flow of the season. I definitely take it, but I think we can beat them, mate. What's your thoughts on actually going there to win? Because it's a tough game. Sunday afternoon, summertime, they'll be up for it. They know we're a big rival of theirs, we always have been, especially since '89. So, what are you expecting?
Yeah, I think it's actually a really interesting point where, like, even the fact that we're sort of talking about it is a win realistic at Anfield? That sort of is the mindset. I don't know how they'll go up there, having top of the table at this point. Watching watching Liverpool this morning, sort of definitely seeing a few things. Maybe they go up there with a bit more expectation. I just want to mention there's a really interesting point. I read it somewhere. Just following the Leeds win, is that Leeds United season won't be defined by how they go against your Arsenal, Liverpool, City. Their season will be defined by how they go against relegation battlers, the side that they're going to struggle or battle with to remain up. Whereas Arsenal's season really is defined by big wins over those sides, or it should be, but also this weekend against fellow title contenders. And as you say, it's tough. Haven't won there in a long time. I think that will come into it. But I certainly think, look, if we're sitting here now and you said, look, you get a 1-1 up at Anfield, I'll absolutely take it. But I think pushing for a win is not outside the realms of possibility. I think there's goals to be scored there. We know Liverpool can score as well. That's, we just mentioned it, that's what they do. But certainly, look, I'll be... If we don't go for it, if we don't try, that's what'll be sort of disappointing, because I think it can happen. I think a win can happen, but if we come away with the draw, then I won't be disappointed with that one.
The great sides of the past, BB, that have won the Premier League can go and get results in times of adversity. You look at our, Premier League winning teams in 2002, 2004. In 2002, we won the league at Old Trafford. 2004, we beat Liverpool away. We beat Chelsea away, who were really coming strong at the time. We were able to get points at Old Trafford, who were the really tough team at the time, of course, the great sides. Last year, I can quote so many things, but last year Liverpool, went to City, 3/4 of the way through the season and won very comfortably 2-0 against Man City. The City team of 4 in a row were able to go and get points basically everywhere at the big games. They would let their guard down, of course, and lose here and there, but they were able to do that. So the great sides were always able to go places and get points. And I think it's our time now. I think if you look at it, the win against United at Old Trafford was scrappy, but hey, I refuse to argue, Man U fans, that they played so well. They didn't. That they were better, but they didn't create bugger
Mm.
all, and basically we held them out pretty comfortably. They've just proved it again against Fulham on the weekend. So I'm having that same argument with all the United fans. Please jump on and comment and join us, whatever you like. But, for us to be able to go to these grounds and win, I think is important. And I remember in 2004 when we went to Liverpool and Robert Pires scored an absolute screamer, in a 2-1 win. We were able to do that. I mean, Liverpool last year won the title. They came to our place. We should have beaten them. We were 2-1 up with not long to go. And unfortunately, Lewis Skelly, learning as a young man, but he made a mistake down the left, which led Salah to break away and effectively score that equaliser. They didn't win that day, BB, but they were miles off and they got the point they needed. So, look, it shapes for a fascinating game. Quickly on Arsenal, BB, I thought we played really well after the first goal went in. I have to agree with you. I thought the first half was pretty lackadaisical, pretty sloppy. Not many clear-cut chances. The injuries didn't help either, Odegaard going off. But we managed to really come into its second half, and that's the thing that's positive for me. Score some goals. I thought Gyökeres was really good again. I didn't think he was that bad at Old Trafford. He worked hard. He showed his intent. He showed that again on the weekend. Took the penalty and hammered it in Jamie Vardy style. I absolutely love that. And then we saw his goal, which was brilliant as well. Timber had a good game, obviously, with the 2 goals and an assist, and Saka disappointingly coming off. But overall, I think it's good signs for Arsenal. Like, belting these teams down the bottom is something we haven't done a lot of. If we can continue to do that every week, 4-0, 5-0, I know it's early, but it helps with your goal difference as well. So very happy with Arsenal, mate. I thought it was a good performance, and we have to be confident. If our back six is intact of Calafiori, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Zubamendi and Rice in front of David Raya, I think Eze will come in and start, to be honest now, and maybe Martinelli will come back in for experience. I think with Gyökeres and maybe Madueke, I think it's a team that can beat them for sure. Liverpool look vulnerable, so I'm ready to go, mate. Tell us what you think about our performance overall, mate. I know you said that you thought we were a bit sloppy first half, but that is right. Second half, it came together a bit better.
So, and that's the mark of a quality side too. It was sloppy, didn't panic, didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. We're always in control. I just felt like there was probably could have scored a goal in the first sort of 30 minutes. I think Gyökeres flashed one to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, he gets through a lot of work. He gets through a lot of work, a lot of running. So great to see him on the scoreboard. Yeah, like the celebration too. Just he's obviously heard some of the criticisms from the United game with the hair flicks as well. So he's good value too. I like that sort of I like that approach to it. I am going to be banging on about this all year. I don't know what will happen as the season goes on. Calafiori, I know defensively we've spoken about it before that there's things there, but when he's got the ball at his feet and he's surging across halfway and into the attacking half, I just love it so much. He linked up pretty well at times with Madueke there on the left. Again, I know Saka going out. I've heard maybe Madueke goes across to the right side, so maybe that won't be a long-term thing.
I can see that happening. Yeah.
So I don't know about that, but Trossard, when he came on, I thought he was really good too. Saka, Trossard, and Madueke more width on the weekend than they showed against United. So I don't know whether that was just a change of game plan or if that's how they'll do it going ahead. But looked much better, looked much more fluent. Again, just more game time together, particularly with a new striker. Again, as they coming in, maybe we'll see how that goes. But I'm not going to put too much weight on the fact that he's an Arsenal junior and he wanted to play for Arsenal and whatever. But there's elements there as well. But I'm trying to keep a rein on how excited I am. I mean, Leeds aren't going to be title contenders, are they? But certainly that second half, I was really impressed. Certainly a lot more impressive than the win over United, even though going to Old Trafford is a very tough thing to do, and coming away with a 1-0 win is you don't turn it down. But in terms of style, game, and approach, I thought that much better in week 2. The young fella Max Dowman coming on might as well play 2 seasons for if you didn't know, of course he's coming on and doing that. He cracking shot. He's obviously super confident. They've been preparing him for this for quite some time, and I think strategically just sort of adding him to matchday squads, taking him away, getting him used to the whole thing. So not overawed. Fantastic young player, really one to watch out for going ahead as well.
Spot on, BB. He looks like a special talent. He's carried on in the same vein as his preseason form. I think he won 2 penalties in preseason. He's won another one on the weekend. Anyone saying that wasn't a penalty, get out of here. He stepped on his toe, completely, stepped on his foot as he's slid past him. So again, it was a foul. It was a penalty all day. What he does look like, BB, is I compare him to Wanyeri, is that he looks a little bit bigger physically. He looks like he's at a later stage of his physical development at 15. And if he still continues to grow that little bit more and ends up at sort of 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", you sort of have it size, he's up there. They're talking of him being up there with Lamine Yamal and, with the very best young players in the world. And at the moment, he looks it. I mean, we saw Wanyeri debut at 15, didn't really get another major crack until he was sort of 17, into last season, because that debut was against Brentford in September 2022. That was a long time ago now for Wanyeri. But Dowman looks like he's got a little bit more growth in him, BB. He's a bit taller, he's a bit stronger, and they've taken him now as part of the preseason and got him involved, and I think he'll play a big part in it. We saw what Rio Ngumba did this morning for Liverpool. There's no reason Dowman can't do that for us, and he might be that type of game changer off the bench for us, in big games, that just pure raw youth and exuberance, and he was fantastic to watch, mate. I thought he was great on the weekend. His cameos have been very sharp. I don't think he will start him, and neither he should. I think we've got the experience and the quality, but in terms of him changing games, you probably get a start or two in the Carabao Cup, which I think is good. Maybe in the early stages of the FA Cup in some home games versus some low-level opposition, but the future's bright, mate, no doubt, and I can't wait to see more of him moving forward.
Absolutely, and we've got a couple of minutes left before we got to wrap up, but a couple of things outside of straight Arsenal stuff. What are you hearing? Nuno, Notts Forest, Ange Postecoglou maybe coming back. What are you thinking? What are you hearing?
Yeah, so a bit of a coup for Big Ange. He's friends with Evangelos Marinakis, as we know, BB, who's the president, owner, chairman of the Nottingham Forest Group. There's talk that Nuno's fallen out with Edu, the former Arsenal, sporting director. I'm not really sure what the backstory to that is, but the writing seems to be on the wall. He's had some very tetchy press conferences leading into their draw with Palace on the weekend. And then his post-match comments was almost throwing the teddies out of the cot. You media are turning this around. You guys are saying that I don't want to be here. Well, listen, mate, your presser on Friday indicated that, the relationship's completely broken down. You don't talk to the owner. You got a problem with Edu. Which one is it? Do you either not like him and is there a big problem, or is everything all right? So, look, I hate to say it, but it feels like he's digging his own grave. He's angling towards a sacking and an exit. I thought he's done a great job with Forest, and I would have loved to have seen him in a Europa League campaign now that Palace got sort of dropped back down to the Conference League. But, Ange has emerged as a suitor. Brendan Rodgers from Celtic, who sort of poured cold water on that late last week, saying, I've left Celtic once and that wasn't a pleasant experience for me and my family. I won't be doing it again. Look, I think if another Premier League job comes up, he'll take it. But that was interesting to hear. But look, Ange is also available, BB, sitting around available at the moment, coming off trophy success. If he can sell that to Forest and sell that to the fans, I know Marinakis would be a fan of it, but if he can sell that, I can come in and win trophies, and bring the glory days back to Forest of their wonderful European Cup winning teams of, 79 and 80 around that time. I think it's a case that, it's not a shoo-in, but I think it's a high possibility that we might see Ange back in. So managerial merry-go-round continues. First sacking of the season could be very soon. And, of course, transfer window ending next week on Monday, BB. Things will heat up. There's a few dominoes to take place there with Premier League clubs. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
How many videos, how many drafts have you got ready to go for the last couple of days of the transfer window?
Mate, I've got one other draft. I think is a good one that's going to happen. I think Xavi Simons will end up at Chelsea. Outside of that, BB, there's about 15 moves on the go here, which I can quickly run through. But we're talking Garnacho potentially to Chelsea, maybe to Napoli, not sure. Højlund to Napoli looks like it's progressing and will happen. United will be happy to have him off the books. Kivior leaving to Porto with a loan obligation to buy will open things up for Arsenal to sign the Bayer Leverkusen player that they were looking at, Piero, that we had a look at, Hincapié over the last couple of days. Well, hijacking to start with. I think you might see a late move for Martinelli. I think if Arsenal can recoup 75, 80 mil from Saudi on Martinelli, you have to take it. He didn't look great in the United game, and I'm just not sure where he goes to from here. I think the goalkeeper merry-go-round at City and United looks like Lamens might be signing for Man United. He plays in Belgium at the moment, and it looked like he was left out on the weekend, Saint Lamens, so that could be happening for Man U. I think you'll see Edison probably go to Turkey. Why not? He's won everything at City, and if that gives them the chance to sign Donnarumma, then they might do that. Savinho to Tottenham, if that happens, might open up City for Rodrigo, but we saw Rodrigo play for Xabi Alonso's Real Madrid on the weekend again, and he's timed that beautifully, I think, Xabi Alonso. He's sort of seen if there was any interest in the market for Real Madrid by benching him, seeing what the talk was. No one's really come in and said, look, we're happy to pay 80, 90 million for him. And what's happened there is that we've seen him play on the weekend. Xabi Alonso say he's an integral member of our squad. We love him, so on and so forth, blah, 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 which of course you're going to do if you see that the heat has dropped. So that's a quick summary there, BB. There's lots to happen, I think, in the last week. You'll see it all ramp up, I think, in the back end of this week. And then especially after the weekend's action, you'll see sort of Sunday, Monday going to overdrive before it all wraps up. And I think, as we talked about, it's a disgrace that the window is still open, but hey, it gives me a chance to continue to TikTok away and build some followers. We're approaching 400K now, so thanks very much to everybody for jumping in and enjoying it. I think Everton's signing of Dibbling the other day was a good one as well. I think he's a promising young player from Southampton as well. So I could go on about it forever, BB. We'll do a big summary next week of all the transfers, mate. But what a weekend in the Premier League, mate. It's just been fantastic, and I'm loving the fact that we're talking so much about it. It's brilliant.
Has been unreal, and I think I mentioned last episode that just happy to see Jack Grealish back playing the football that he plays. He set up a couple of goals for Everton on the weekend. Just good to see. I've always liked watching him play since pre-City days. So yeah, a non-Arsenal
in my fantasy, 11 points, double assist. Thank you, Jackie boy. No one saw that coming, baby. He was cheap as well. Yoo-hoo!
I need to get him, man. I've got to get.
Mate, I'm top of my fantasy after round 2, mate. Don't worry about that.
I'm top of my fantasy league as well. However, I'm not happy with my team. I'm not happy. I've got to make a couple of changes. I want to get Grealish in. Mate, Mo Salah had a quiet game.
BB, have you got any balance? Do you have any money in the bank? Because
no, I've got no money in the
I've left a nice £6 million there. I tell you why. Isak coming back, baby. I don't care where he plays. He's going to score goals, mate. And he's going to get right in my team from round 4. Let's go.
Oh, that is a smart play. I didn't even go with it. I didn't even look at him. He's too much for me. Imagine if he's
dropping every week, BB. He started at 10.5 because he hasn't played now. He's 10.4, 10.3. If he doesn't play next week, 10.2. Thanks for coming. Isak's back.
I'm going to have to get a few players off my books, I think. I don't know why I bought Bruno Fernandes, but he's gone after the weekend.
I've got him too, mate. And look, on another day, BB, he probably picks up 8 or 10 points for us on the weekend, right? So
Exactly. Who did I have scoring points for me? Ekitike got a couple. Gyökeres got quite a few. I was caught sleeping. Cole Palmer get injured in the warm-up. So, but I think pretty much everyone in my league has Cole Palmer.
That's bad luck. Hey, BB, you got to remember this, and to all the fantasy players out there, that's bad luck because he got 3:30 a.m. was a deadline, for example. The warm-up starts at 4:40 or ends at 4:40, 4:30 in the morning. You can't change it. And then it's all about, again, then I guess it's about who you've got as your sub to come in at that point. So
Exactly. All right, Steve Peios, we're running out of time. Great to chat to you. We'll do it again next week, mate.
Can't wait, brother. Brilliant chat, BB. You're a legend. We'll talk soon.